everybody. It is a Tuesday. That means only one thing. It's time now for True Crime Tuesday. We're going to do things a little different today. We're going to start out today with Ripped from the Headlines, and then we'll go into Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. We'll pick it up next week with a different guest, and with our cavalcade of guests, we'll put it that way, next week. In the meantime, we need a co-hostess for today's show. So we went out and got one of the best in the biz, ladies and gentlemen. She's intelligent. She's witty. She's got 2 new books out there. You heard about them last week. Here's Jessica Freeburg. Hi, Jess.
Hey, yeah, last week was so fun.
It was, wasn't it?
It was. That was one of my favorite interviews ever I've done.
Thank you. So by now, the Hindustan Times is called your Hindustan Times bestseller. You're probably also, well, we know you're on the Amazon bestseller list and the New York Times bestseller list now.
I'm sure we're creeping our way up there, Tim.
Yeah,
I'm just sure of it.
You've got to be close. So we'll just say New York Times bestseller, and we'll just assume it should happen.
Just say it like we mean it, we'll just manifest it.
That's right. We'll manifest it. We'll just assume it should happen, right? I mean, my gosh, if we just say it, it should happen. I mean, that's what I was. But
isn't that how affirmations work?
Yeah, that's an affirmation, right?
There you go.
Yeah, so it's got to happen. I mean, yeah. Although I say that about being rich and 180 pounds, and it never has happened to me. So, well, but I keep trying, just like that little old ant.
That's right. We'll just keep going.
Yeah, well, you just got to keep going. Speaking of just keeping going, we're gonna jump into Rip from the Headlines, boy, and just keep going. We're gonna start out with some people in the headlines who just kept going and just are gonna probably end up keep going to jail. It's an awkward transition, I know, but in New York City last week, Jess, the very first mayor to be indicted on charges, Eric Adams.
Oh no.
Did you see this story?
No, tell me about it.
Oh, this is just the worst thing ever. And you've had your collection of eclectic mayors in New York, right? I mean,
Yes.
Everybody from Ed Koch to Rudolph Giuliani to, the Rockefellers. I mean, you've had them all in New York, right? But it was Eric Adams, of all people, who was indicted on. And it was a 57-page indictment having to do with everything from bribery to foreign involvement from, of all things, Turkey.
What?
Why yeah. Now you would think the New York mayoral race wouldn't have any. I'm trying to wrap my head around this too. Of all the countries who would want anything to do with trying to involve themselves in any type of mayoral race in New York City, why the country of Turkey?
That is so interesting. Why indeed? That's just bizarre.
Well, supposedly there was a mosque that was being built, and I don't remember what street it was on, but evidently the Turkish community is somewhat huge in New York City, and they wanted certain favors, and they were trying to get it out of like the one of the funniest quotes I've seen yet. And then we'll get into the charges here as far as Eric Adams goes. They tried to, this quote absolutely kills me, Jess. They tried to bribe the Brooklyn borough president, the Turkish government, with a set of Turkish teapots.
Oh, well, pretty. I mean, what are you going to do with those? Give me money.
Right? I mean, I take it they're worth some money, but
probably, but then you have to turn around and sell them to get your money. And that's just extra work. Just give me the cash.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we're going to do a deal, money's fine.
Money's nice.
Teapots are nice, but money's great.
I liked teapots when I was like 12.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Maybe if I have a daughter, that's great. Or maybe the wife would enjoy them, but I think that's what they're getting at. The Turkish officials are like, but please take the teapot for your wife. It's it's one of those deals, okay, but although that may, that may kind of make me feel, make the heart a little warm. That's the only way I could put it. It doesn't make me want to go, oh, let's cut a deal right here. Right. It doesn't really put me over the top. Right. I mean, it's a Turkish tea set. It's one of those gifts. Like if you want it on The Price is Right, you wouldn't exactly know how much it'd be worth.
No, it'd be hard to get the right price on that.
I wonder how much. Should I look it up real quick?
I was going to say, I have no idea how much a Turkish teapot would go for.
Gosh, a Turkish tea set. Let's see. Let's now see. I have to know. I've done the conundrum where I've brought the show to a screeching halt here, Jess, because I need to know how much.
Well, it's the whole place setting, right? So you're going to get the teapot and the little plates that come with it.
Yes, you get the whole shebang.
With a tray.
Yeah. So
need to have the tray.
Well,
Tim, I can get that on Amazon for $33.39.
No.
Well, it says vintage Turkish coffee pot. I guess it's a coffee pot.
Well, for those of you who are Temu shoppers, you can get it for $22.58.
Wow. You can get your blow up doll and
you can get your
Turkish tea set.
You get your sex doll for $600 and you can get and that's the life one. Yeah.
You can sit her at the table and have tea with her. That's like your foreplay.
Yeah. And then you take her in the back room and have your way. Yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing the one you see on Amazon for $38.53.
Yeah. That's not a good bribe. They'd have to come up with more than that for me. And if I was his wife, I'd be like, dude, I want diamonds. Are you kidding me?
I see the spendy one for $44.60. I see one on, still the one on Temu is $22.
I found a very fancy one for $98.95. It's beautiful.
Ooh,
still $100.
I'm seeing the handmade Turkish tea water set for $104.90 at Amazon. But still, we're barely getting over $100 here, Jess.
Yeah, we're bribing here. Bring your A game.
That's right. You want to buy the Brooklyn Borough president, you got to come with some cash, right? Not just
that's right.
Tea set, right? Well, evidently they had a little bit more than $100 for Eric Adams. Just a little bit more than $100. So again, a 57-page indictment is what was handed down by a grand jury to Eric Adams. Tell you what, we're going to do an audio daily double here, and we're going to go to NBC News where they have the specifics as to what is going on with Eric Adams.
Here with me now is NBC News senior legal correspondent and Weekend Today co-anchor Laura Jarrett. Laura, I don't have to tell you how extraordinary this is. You're living, breathing it every day. But this is just unprecedented.
It is a stunning moment. Someone who has gone from the highest ranks of government, turning himself in now to authority. Someone who was in law enforcement, was a policeman, now fingerprinted, having his mugshot taken. He went through all the normal processes that every other defendant went through this morning. He got there early at the courthouse just after 8 a.m. and he is now in court being advised of his rights. We're told by our team there in the courthouse. This is being done by a magistrate judge who is not the judge who will oversee the ultimate trial, but just sort of someone who goes through the administrative piece of this. This is really a formality at this point. He knows that he's been charged. He knows what he's been charged with, but she's got to go through those normal processes. And then he will come back next week. And that will then start the clock of when we're going to see a trial and all of the sort of processes that are going to play out over the next year or so.
And we're hearing from the courtroom that he's just pleaded not guilty as expected. There's one shoe that hasn't dropped in the political sphere. And I noticed from her comments that Governor Hochul's comments were, I'm going to give the mayor a few days to make sure that the city is being run properly. She has an option here, doesn't she?
She has been very measured. Governor Hochul has been very measured in what she says about him. Obviously, some people at the highest levels, like Jerry Nadler, came out today and said he should step aside. AOC came out early and said he should step aside.
And she's a Democrat also.
But she has the power to actually oust him if she wants him. Governor Hochul, there's a provision of the charter that allows her to do that. It's a process that's long, it's complicated, it hasn't been used, but she could do it. and she hasn't signaled whether she's going to or not. Now we're not in the early days of this, right? He's only just been indicted, but it is, I think, something to keep an eye on, as well as the opportunity for a superseding indictment, which would sort of trump the one that we've already seen, as something to watch for.
And I heard you say earlier that this indictment that originally came out and was unsealed yesterday doesn't include whatever fruits they may have gotten from their raid at Gracie Mansion, the official residence.
That sort of got lost, I think, in the shuffle, but it's no small thing to have federal agents go in with a search warrant, which means they have probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed and have satisfied a federal judge that that has happened. So we will see what comes out of that search warrant, if anything, yesterday. But as you said, he is in court right now pleading not guilty.
So there you go. 5 felony counts. I mean, and they're saying it's going to be hard to get into Adam's phone because he's got it double locked, double protected. So the FBI is saying they're going to have a hard time trying to get into his phone, which evidently no problem with that when it comes to Diddy. They had no issues getting into his phone. Interesting story. Again, it's one of those stories where when you're talking about an official who's been bribed, you don't think on a city level. Listen to this, Jess. Since 2015, Adams received more than $100,000 worth of free or discounted airplane tickets and luxury hotel rooms, as well as illegal campaign cash, in exchange for doing the bidding of his benefactors. We're talking about the Turkish government and other agents. Again, as I said in the story, he pleaded not guilty to 5 counts, including bribery, wire fraud, and solicitation of a contribution by a foreign national. This is not even a real case, as lawyer Alex Spiro said after the hearing. You don't get charged with 5 counts by the federal government. It's not a real case. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, or independent, or the head of the Purple People Eaters Party. I mean, it's a real case,
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah. There's as they said in the story, that there's a lot of leaders on both sides of the aisle that don't see a real way forward with Eric Adams. They're saying that he's going to have to resign. That this is,
Yeah. There's no way around that. He's just gotta take his lumps and let it go.
Yeah. And the, I mean, it's everyone from Vice Mayor Jermaine Williams, who's probably going to end up having to take over, at least temporarily, to, and the name is escaping me now, the former governor of New York, who was the governor during COVID. They're talking about potentially him stepping in and wanting to run for election in a special election of the mayor's race in New York, which, man, I mean, it's a quite the mess over there right now.
I was just gonna say that is a mess.
Yeah.
Impacting so many people.
Yeah.
I mean, he's leading such a large community, and they're all going to be impacted by this absenteeism of their leader.
Yeah. Quite the mess right now. Okay, let's get on to some more conventional crimes. Well, I was going to say more conventional crimes. I could go one more celebrity crime if you'd like.
Sure.
We could talk a little bit about the Diddy case, just a bit. I know you've been flooded with it as far as headlines go. The one thing I found very interesting, Jess, I just found it incredibly interesting. Besides the fact that Costco came out this week and said, you can't get that much baby oil at our stores. We don't sell baby oil in bulk at our stores.
I bet they even have to say that.
Well, the fact that, and how this came about was TMZ did a huge special on Diddy, and it was released last Monday. I believe it was last Monday. And they had Diddy's main lawyer on, and he was trying to fish for an excuse as to why Diddy would have 10,000 bottles of baby oil at his Miami mansion. which, by the way, there's a reason why there's exactly 10,000 bottles of baby oil there. And the lawyer was trying to say it's probably an exaggeration. There's probably not that many babies or bottles of baby oil at this mansion. The fact of the matter is Mr. Combs probably shops in bulk, and he probably got it at Costco. He probably has it shipped to many of his mansions. He has a lot of properties throughout the United States. He probably buys them in Miami and then at the Costco and has them shipped out. And he said it kind of tongue in cheek, like, let's move on. This is kind of a ridiculous question. Well, the other thing that TMZ didn't bring up that they could have, and again, this is kind of a not safe for work deal, so I'll give you a second to plug the kids' ears. There were also 781 dildos found.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a wild amount of dildos.
Little sex toys found, Jess, at the residence. So it wasn't like there's a small amount of anything found in the residence having to do with these freak offs, right? So they're literally itemizing things with the lawyer on this special, which is airing right now on Tubi. You can see it for free if you want to really dive deep into this case, so to speak. I say that tongue in cheek with a bit of a rim shot behind it. And the lawyer's kind of squirming a little bit. He's trying to, he's saying these freak offs never happened. It was not a quote unquote orgy. It really was just threesomes that happened. So, get it out of your head or whatever. Well, the other thing that's kind of interesting now is they're also saying that Diddy managed to sell a tape on the dark web for some outrageous amount of money. It was like $500 million.
Wow.
And it has famous people in it. Now, you can take that for what it's worth, whether it's truth, fantasy, whatever it is. But there's also supposedly another tape that's circulating that has someone even bigger than him out there. It's been reported by the Daily Beast. It's been reported by a few other media outlets. I had the story up here, and I'm trying to see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, I don't think I want to know. I mean, it's like every time you think you like a celebrity and then they start talking and you're like, gosh darn it, I just wish they wouldn't have talked so much.
They didn't name the actual celebrity, which is what's interesting. They didn't name the celebrity. They said that this person, and in fact, the interesting part of it was this celebrity doesn't know that tape is circulating about them.
Oh no.
That they're even in this tape.
Was it filmed without their consent?
Yes.
Oh no.
And there's also a list. That's the other news story that you'll hear about in the next few days. There's a list that's about to come out, much like the fabled Epstein list that's never come out. But there's a list that's about to come out. And besides the fact that, there's a video that's come out where Diddy's doing an interview and he says, who's the number one, invitee of your white parties and things like that. And he says it's Leonardo DiCaprio. Well, Leo was the top invitee of his parties. But in fact, during the past week or two, Pink had taken down her Twitter page. There were a few people who had taken down their Twitter pages because they didn't want to be cited as having been at Diddy's parties. This doesn't mean that they had done bad things at his parties.
Right. Because not all of his parties were freak offs. Some of them were just parties.
Right. And they just didn't want to be pointed out as having been there because the assumption can be made that bad things. Right.
Nobody better say bad things about my Pink. I love her.
Well, and I mean, the fact of the matter is she was there. There's an interview of her admitting that she's doing an interview with him saying you have the hottest parties in town and blah, blah, blah. And I've even been to a few of them. And she even she self-admits on this interview, and it's quite a few years old, that she's been to these parties. And they're airing this clip all over different media outlets. Which, okay, so you've been to parties. Everybody in Hollywood goes to different parties. It's not a big deal. Now, you could stop in, have a drink, and leave. You've been to that party.
Right.
You know, it's not a big deal. And if she's been to a couple of these different parties, okay, so she's been to a couple of these different parties. That doesn't mean she did anything wrong. You know, you also have Jennifer Lopez has been to these parties. You know, Aaliyah, when she was alive, has been to these parties. Drake has been to these parties. Jay-Z has been to these parties. I mean, there's
Everyone who's anyone has probably been to his parties, but
That's
they're not all guilty of being part of the weird stuff.
That's right. That's right. So you kind of have to have a little bit of discernment as to who did what
Right.
at these particular parties. I think
Which is
also-
hard for us. Discernment is hard.
Well, it is, because this happened as well with the Epstein thing. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody who went to an Epstein party was, you know, I'm going to use rough language here, but was diddling an underage girl.
Right.
You know, they might have went there because Epstein did have he was in the financial business. And there might have been financial reasons to be dealing with Epstein.
Yeah. They were probably networking, some of them.
Yeah. And there doesn't necessarily mean they were there to do whatever debaucherous things that Epstein was doing. It could be
You
they
see,
were.
Tim, this all makes me glad that I'm not cool enough to go to parties. I don't
Yeah,
have to worry
right.
about it.
Right. I'm home most weekends. So, yeah. But, you know,
I'm just at home,
Yeah.
typing away.
yeah, well, the chipmunks and I throw parties. So, you know,
I'd come to that party.
yeah, come to that party, because it's just nothing but, you know, it's just nothing but legumes and water. So, yeah.
Love me a good legume.
Yeah. So that's all it is over here. That's all we got going on. So that's the update there. That's your Diddy update there as far as what's gone on over the last week. That and the fact that but we already know that I think it's the MDC is where he's at in Brooklyn, that the conditions there are horrible. They're not meant for humans, but well, they are meant for humans because there's plenty of them there. And he's in something called the SHU, the SHU, which is more like solitary confinement.
Oh, I suppose he'd have to be. He would not be safe in general population.
In Gen Pop? Well, there was talk that they wanted to put him in Gen Pop, which
Ugh.
I don't blame them if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But he is having some delusions that he's being poisoned, or that they want to poison him, so he stopped eating essentially.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's afraid that he will be dealt with like Jeffrey Epstein was. So they're having a hard time feeding him, I guess.
People don't want their name revealed on his list.
That's exactly what it is. He's afraid that people think if they get revealed, they'll try to get back at him in prison. So
Yeah.
there's that. Let's move on. Let's go to this story. You might have heard of this story as well. This was straight out of the movies, Jess. There was a bus hijacking in Los Angeles last week where
What?
one person ended up dead. It was actually the actions of one smart bus driver that saved a lot of people. And yeah, this was freaky. To watch the video of this bus driver was freakish. Let me get into the story and explain more. One person was killed after a man reportedly hijacked a bus early Wednesday morning and drove around the city for about an hour before police managed to stop the vehicle. On Wednesday, September 25th at 12:45 a.m., the Los Angeles Police Department received calls about an incident involving a bus near Manchester Avenue and Figueroa Street. Officers found the bus, which stopped near Figueroa and 117th Street, and they attempted to communicate with the driver, but the bus pulled away and a pursuit ensued. KTLA TV reported that the bus driver managed to turn on an emergency alert that said call 911 on the exterior display of the bus. And it was almost eerie to watch this bus driver. He's staring straight ahead, Jess, and he's just driving the bus. But the signs, you know how the sign on the front of the bus and on the side of the bus?
Yeah.
It just said call 911 emergency, and he was blowing through stops.
Wow.
And he looked like he was totally unfazed. Like he wouldn't look at anybody. He wouldn't acknowledge anybody. And you see cops set up with automatic rifles. and they put out stop strips to try and stop this bus.
Man,
Yeah. And
that is so scary.
yeah. Now, LAPD said they called in a SWAT team because they had reason to believe the suspect was armed and had hostages on the bus. Police put down those spike strips on Alameda Street in downtown Los Angeles, which had managed to stop the bus after an hour pursuit. Once the bus came to a stop, SWAT members used noise flash devices and boarded the vehicle, where they took the suspect into custody. The bus driver and 2 passengers were on board, and one of the passengers had multiple gunshot wounds. Paramedics transported the injured victim to a local hospital where they died. The driver and other passenger were reportedly shaken but uninjured. LAPD Deputy Chief Donald Graham reportedly said in a news conference that the suspect allegedly held the bus driver at gunpoint. Graham said clearly he was under duress and under the threat of violence. Graham commended the driver for being able to keep his composure. According to KTTV, Metro Los Angeles said in a statement, Metro is grateful for the LAPD's swift action regarding this morning's bus hijacking incident and is grateful the operator was unharmed. Metro is providing the operator with the support he needs. This is an active investigation being led by the LAPD. LAPD is investigating the victim's death as a homicide. Police did not release the suspect or deceased victims' names. I was going to try to show you a picture, but it's not a picture of the actual bus. The video is astounding. If you ever get a chance to see it, it's one of those things that's almost eerie. Just the metro operator, the bus driver, was incredibly brave. He was incredibly stout and did his job professionally to the fullest.
Yes.
And I got to think, I mean, I know they're offering him therapy. I got to think that that's incredibly tough to want to and have to go back to work.
That'd be so scary. I mean, you would have such post-traumatic stress from that situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be tough to go back to work and continue to do that job, but God love him, to go back and do that job and do it well. It's just, it's one of those things that's incredibly tough. Let's see here. Story down a little bit. I have a story we're going to end on today as we go into dumb crime, stupid criminals you're absolutely not going to believe. I'll just put it to you that way. Our next story has to do with a Texas man's arrest after a hiker's remains were found near a trail. We go to San Antonio, where authorities recently arrested a 38-year-old man in connection with the death of a missing 63-year-old woman whose remains were found along a hiking trail. At a press conference, Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar said that on the night of September 22nd, a man reported his wife, Stacy Dramiga, missing after she failed to return home. Regular hiker who often walked alone, she was reportedly last seen heading to the trails near DeFosta Park. Family friends went to search for Dramiga and allegedly found her car still locked near Covington Park and alerted authorities. Salazar said officials tracked Dramiga's phone and a search team located a body in the woods. According to the sheriff, investigators believe the remains to be Dramiga's, but the victim has not yet been positively identified. Salazar said the victim likely didn't fall and was forced off the trail. The case is being treated as a homicide. An autopsy reportedly reviewed by KSAT-TV said the victim died of blunt force penetrating trauma of the head. Deputies confirmed with KSAT that they have arrested Marco Flores on charges of evading arrest and detention. Flores reportedly knew details about the case, but when the sheriff's office said they were going to take him in for questioning, he allegedly fled. According to KSAT, Flores was booked into the Bexar County Jail. Authorities did not release further information on Flores and his connection with Dramiga and her death. Dramiga reportedly worked for a military installation as the director of the Cardiopulmonary Rehabilitation Center. That's a sad story indeed.
That is so tragic.
We'll head back to New York here, Jess, where a New York man is indicted after allegedly striking his wife to death with an axe.
Oh, an axe murder in
Yeah.
2024?
Yes. Yes, and it's not in a movie, believe it or not. We go to Buffalo, New York, where a 46-year-old man stands accused of killing his wife with an axe inside their home last month. The Erie County District Attorney's Office announced that on September 26th, Antonio Prieto was arraigned on an indictment charging him with one count of second-degree murder. He's scheduled to appear in court again on October 28th and remains held without bail. According to prosecutors, in the early hours of August 26th, Buffalo police responded to a possible domestic incident at an apartment on Rhode Island Street. At the scene, authorities found Prieto's wife, 29-year-old Elizabeth Salazar, deceased on the bedroom floor. The district attorney's office alleges that Prieto struck Salazar with an axe inside their home. Officers located Prieto in the bathroom with a self-inflicted knife wound, or wounds rather, that's plural, and he was transported to a hospital via ambulance. According to the district attorney's office, Prieto was initially arraigned on the murder charge while in the hospital. Prieto faces up to 25 years to life in prison if convicted. Well, let's see here. We'll do one more here, and then we will go to break. This next one is actually a very sad story indeed. A boyfriend is sentenced for killing a missing Navajo woman and hiding her remains. We're going to Phoenix, where the boyfriend of a missing indigenous woman from the Navajo Nation will spend the rest of his life behind bars for killing her and hiding her remains on a reservation in 2019. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Arizona announced on September 23rd that a judge sentenced 31-year-old Trey James to life in prison for the shooting death of Jamie Yazzie. A federal jury convicted James of first-degree murder as well as several acts of domestic violence committed against 3 other Navajo women. James will also have to serve an additional 10 years in prison with 5 years of supervised release for the assaults. According to the FBI Phoenix Field Office and Navajo Department of Criminal Investigations, Yazzie was last seen near, is it Pinon or Pinon, Arizona? I've never been, so I don't know how to pronounce.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Pinon sounds nice. I like that.
Yeah, Pinon. Within the boundaries of Navajo Nation Indian Reservation on June 30th of 2019, her remains were later found on the Hopi Indian Reservation in November of 2021, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Authorities say James fatally shot Yazzie before hiding her remains, which remained concealed until the discovery. According to prosecutors, officials faced multiple challenges in the case as Yazzie hadn't been reported missing for several days. James also reportedly committed the crimes while home alone with Yazzie, and he cleaned the scene. Investigators were also faced with the COVID-19 pandemic, which hit the Navajo Nation particularly hard. Authorities purportedly uncovered the separate domestic violence crimes during the investigation. According to the Associated Press, Yazzie's 3 sons, now aged 10, 14, and 18, attended James's sentencing, and other supporters demonstrated on the sidewalk by chanting and beating drums. The Associated Press cited a 2016 study by the National Institute of Justice stating that 84% of American Indian and Alaska Native women have experienced violence in some form. United States Attorney Gary Restaino said, securing justice for missing victims of violence necessitates courage, discipline, and collaboration. It also requires all of us to demonstrate our commitment with alacrity, for communities to report their missing loved ones as soon as possible, for victim advocates to engage early and often with next of kin, and for agents and prosecutors to charge cases as soon as they're ready to be charged. It's a sad story indeed. All right, when we come back, Jess, we'll talk about why the state of Alabama executed an inmate with nitrogen gas instead of what they were supposed to execute them with.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, a little bit of a whoopsie. The Atlantic City mayor is accused of beating his teen daughter unconscious with a broom.
What's with the mayors today?
I know, mayors are a little bit unusual. And we have the most unusual story Yeah, it almost sounds like a dumb crime, stupid criminal story, but it's a little bit on that edge. And then we'll jump into dumb crime, stupid criminals. That comes up next, right here on Ripped from the Headlines, right here on True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to Ripped from the Headlines on True Crime Tuesday. I'm your host, Tim Dennis. Right over there is Jessica Freeburg. All right, so before the break, Jess, I told you that Alabama had executed an inmate with nitrogen gas instead of what they normally use.
Somebody didn't know their gases.
Well, I think it's a little more complex than that. They had used nitrogen gas after past lethal injection attempts had failed with this particular prisoner.
Oh,
I guess you had to get a little creative.
this wasn't his first rodeo.
No. 59-year-old Alan Eugene Miller was convicted of capital murder in a 1999 workplace shooting spree. He was set to die by lethal injection in 2022, but the attempt was called off. Alabama executed a condemned man last Thursday using nitrogen gas, and only the second instance in the United States of the method's use. So it's not widely used. It drew criticism from human rights groups after it was done. Alan Eugene Miller, a former delivery driver who was convicted in 2000 for a workplace shooting spree, was executed in the state prison in Atmore, according to the governor's office. Prison staff members put the 59-year-old Miller to death via nitrogen hypoxia, in which a person breathes only nitrogen through a mask apparatus and is deprived of oxygen. It was also the second time Alabama moved to execute him after an execution squad struggled to do so 2 years ago by lethal injection.
Oh no, it's crazy. So when they use this gas, does the person essentially just suffocate because they're not getting
Yep.
any oxygen?
Yep.
Oy.
I wonder, because there's supposed to be, I know this seems odd, and I know some people may say, oh, Tim, you're a bleeding heart. It's not the case. There are actually, depending on if this is a federal charge or a state charge, there's actually a humane way that you're supposed to put down prisoners. They're not supposed to, quote unquote, suffer for too long. Now, the idea behind lethal injection, and we've covered it in the past with different guests on the show, the guy who invented lethal injection wasn't a doctor. He was a salesman. Yeah, and he just came up with this way of putting people down. He just came up with this.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's the nuttiest thing ever, right? So there's a flaw in the system of lethal injection. So if you don't do everything correctly, if I remember right from talking about this on a past show, if you don't do everything correctly, you can inject the chemicals into the prisoner. They can literally drown in these chemicals and still be alive. So they're burning from the inside and they can survive. But
That's awful.
they can't say anything because they're anesthetized. So they're literally, imagine being awake but asleep. Okay, Jess, and
That's a nightmare.
yeah, and you can't scream because you're basically locked up, right? But you're burning from the inside and you're feeling everything. And essentially, you still have a heartbeat. You still, but you're feeling pain.
So they did that to this guy like 2 years ago and he survived and lived for another 2 years?
He lived.
That's
Here's
nuts.
the situation. So the curtains to the death chamber, it says here, were opened at 6:12 p.m. Miller said in a final statement that I didn't do anything to be in here, and I didn't do anything to be on death row. That was reported by AL.com. Gas then appeared to flow into his mask at 6:16 p.m., according to media witnesses. AL.com reported that his fingers moved slightly when his spiritual advisor came to his side. Miller then pulled against his restraints, shaking and trembling for about 2 minutes and periodically gasped for about 6 minutes. He was declared dead at 6:38 p.m.
Wow, that is a long, drawn out process.
From 6:16 to 6:38. That's 22 minutes.
I don't like that.
His death caps a particularly busy period of executions nationwide, with 5 occurring over the past 7 days. They included Oklahoma carrying out an execution on Thursday morning, South Carolina executing someone last week for the first time in 13 years, and a Missouri man executed Tuesday who maintained his innocence in a case that drew national attention. Just as Alan Miller cowardly fled after the maliciously committed 3 calculated murders in 1999, he attempted to escape justice for 2 decades, Alabama Governor Kay Ivey said in a statement. Tonight, justice was finally served for those 3 victims through the execution method elected by the inmate. His acts were not that of insanity, but pure evil, Governor Kay Ivey went on to say. Alabama in January became the first state to execute a prisoner using nitrogen. Eyewitnesses report that the inmate, Kenneth Smith, 58, remained conscious for several minutes and violently thrashed and heaved while strapped to a gurney. State Attorney General Steve Marshall has argued in court filings that the method is swift, painless, and humane. Not if you're violently thrashing and heaving. In a statement following Miller's execution, Marshall accused political activists, out-of-state lawyers, and the media of perpetrating a misinformation campaign and said the procedure went as expected and without incident. Miller initially sought the challenge of using nitrogen. He filed a federal lawsuit in March seeking a halt to halt his execution, citing the state's past execution failures and concerns that the method of nitrogen hypoxia would add pain and prolong death. But Miller has opted to have Alabama use nitrogen, the state's alternative to lethal injection, approved in 2018. After his execution in September of 2022 was called off when staff members were unable to access a vein for more than an hour, a process that Miller described as excruciating, as 2 men punctured him several times in his arms and a foot. In the lawsuit, Miller said his weight, 350 pounds, has made securing an IV line challenging. There's only one thing they didn't do. They didn't put it in his hand.
Oh,
That's where they always put my IVs.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why not.
I don't know. That's the simplest thing in phlebotomy. Put it in your hand. Because they weren't phlebotomists. That's why.
They were probably salesmen.
They were probably salesmen. They were sheriff's deputies. The state agreed that it would not try to execute Miller for a second time using lethal injection. So in July, Alabama officials posted unredacted documents related to Miller's suit in the federal court's electronic filing system, shedding new light on the case before some of them were sealed. The records, which were reviewed by NBC News, included a deposition in which Miller expressed concern that the execution team would have trouble securing a mask over his face to breathe in the nitrogen gas. Are these people that are going to fit the mask? That's their training, Miller had said. So he was asking that. I got a big old bald head, he added. Nothing fits my head. Miller had claimed the Alabama Department of Corrections refused to check whether the mask would fit him before the execution, but in his deposition, he declined an offer to have it fit tested before the procedure. I think this is psychological terror right there, Miller said in his deposition. However, the Attorney General's office announced last month that Miller had agreed to settle his suit. The terms remain confidential. The resolution of this case confirms that Alabama's nitrogen hypoxia system is reliable and humane, Marshall said in a previous statement. Miller's lawyers did not immediately return a request for comment, with apparently no more legal barriers or plans by his legal team for a last-minute appeal. The execution went on as scheduled. Miller does not contest that he was responsible for the 1999 shooting rampage south of Birmingham. The prosecutor said that he fatally shot 2 coworkers, Lee Holdbrooks and Christopher Scott Yancey. and then went on to a previous place of employment where he confronted a former colleague, Terry Lee Jarvis, and killed him. Testimony at his trial claimed that Miller was upset about people starting rumors on me. That's a quote, according to court documents. In attempting to appeal his case following his conviction, Miller said he lacked the necessary intent to commit murder because he suffered from mental instability. Use of nitrogen has raised concerns from human rights groups as states have looked for viable alternatives to lethal injection, a method that has become increasingly difficult to use because of a shortage of the necessary drugs. I don't know, Jess. It sounds like it might be a little on the inhumane side.
It does. It really does. Is it sad that my takeaway is that you and I can invent some medical scientific procedure? Like I just put it on my list to do in 2025. If a salesman can come up with lethal injection,
Yeah, I think we could do it.
let's let's do something scientific next.
I think we could do it. It's just a matter of boy, how do you do it?
We'll just put a periodic table up in front of us and we'll just start throwing darts at it.
And we'll come up with a chemical compound
Come up with something really profound.
and a way to distribute it. We'll put it in, you know what? We'll put it in some delicious apple crisp.
Ooh. And
Ooh.
it'll be something that makes people feel good.
Yeah. Well, what
Yeah.
doesn't make you feel really good like warm apple crisp?
Oh, that's like my favorite thing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's that season too.
Ugh. My favorite. I love fall. But anyways, I digress. Back to crime.
I'd probably die 1,000 times to have some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's usually my daughter's request for her birthday. Instead of like a birthday cake, she wants an apple crisp.
Me too. And it's not even that time of year on my birthday. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like hot summertime, but yeah. Okay, we go on to the next story. The next story is an odd one. Again, you were talking about mayors getting in trouble. This time we go to New Jersey, where the Atlantic City mayor is accused of beating his teen daughter unconscious with a broom. We've all had trouble with kids, Jess, but not to the point where we want to beat them unconscious with a broom.
Can't even imagine. How do you get that much rage?
Some people go there. Some people get that worked up. That's for sure. The mayor of Atlantic City and his wife, the city's superintendent of schools, that's convenient, faced charges after allegedly physically and emotionally abusing their teen daughter on multiple occasions. The Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office alleges that during the months of December of 2023 and January of 2024, 50-year-old Marty Small Sr. and his wife, 47-year-old Laketta Small, inflicted crimes against their daughter while she was 15 to 16 years old. Okay, I know teenage girls can sometimes be a handful, but to beat them unconscious with a broom?
No, I don't know. I have two teenage girls presently, and I would never raise a hand to them. I could never.
Oh. On January 3rd, Small Sr. allegedly continuously threatened his daughter during an argument, telling her he'd hurt her by earth slamming her down the stairs, grabbing her head and throwing her to the ground and smacking the weave out of her head. That's a quote.
Wow. What's an earth slam? Is that like a technical term?
Like grabbing her and slamming her to the earth.
Dang.
Yeah. Yep. Earth slam.
That's not a very nice dad.
No, I think he's got a little bit of a rage issue. A little bit, just a skosh. Yeah. According to prosecutor's office, Small Sr. also allegedly punched his daughter in the legs continuously, which resulted in bruises. Investigators allege that Laketta Small once punched her daughter in the chest numerous times, also causing bruising.
Gosh, so it's both of her parents?
Yeah, both of her parents.
That's so terrible. She doesn't have a safe person.
They are lucky this girl didn't change her last name to Menendez and shoot them both.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right? In another incident, prosecutors argue Small dragged her daughter by her hair before beating her with a belt on the shoulders. Small is also accused of punching her daughter in the mouth during an argument in another incident.
Why? Why did they even have kids? They clearly don't like them.
Oh, I know, right? You put it very eloquently, Jess. They clearly don't like kids. On January 13th, prosecutors allege Small Sr. struck his daughter in the head with a broom multiple times, causing her to go unconscious. A jury indicted Marty Small Sr. and Laketta Small on September 17th of charges of second-degree endangering the welfare of a child. Why second degree? That's my question.
Yeah.
Give them
Seems
first.
like first degree to me.
Yeah. What, do you got to go with the full bat, not the broom, in order to get first?
What object do you have to beat a child unconscious with to get first degree?
Right? It's got to be more solid, I guess. I don't know.
Crowbar, first degree. Broom, second.
Yeah. All this while Small Sr. was also indicted for third-degree terroristic threats and third-degree aggravated assault. Again, I don't know what more you need in order to jack those charges up, but in a statement obtained by the Associated Press, Small Sr. said, "All people have heard is one side of the story. We look forward to telling our side." Oh, please.
I'm pretty sure I don't need to hear it. Don't care.
Oh, yeah. What did, tell me where the little girl hurt you, sir?
I don't care how mad you are. Remove yourself from the situation. She could be the worst kid in the world.
Yeah.
Lock her up if that's the case. Like if she's crazy or something, then don't beat her though. There's no excuse.
Yeah. Go take a walk or take a drive and come back and deal with it. Yeah. You'll be all right. The mayor's lawyer reportedly said this indictment has absolutely nothing to do with Marty Small's tenure as mayor of Atlantic City. There's no charge of corruption or any official misconduct. Marty and Laketta Small don't need the Atlantic County prosecutor's office meddling into the private family matter. His attorney added, Marty and Laketta are a good mom and dad raising a teenage child. Evidently, his attorney is Stevie Wonder. I guess he can't see the kid's bruises. They are totally innocent and will be totally exonerated. Yeah. Keep wishing in one hand and shitting in the other and see which.
I mean, unless they can prove that someone else did it, like they literally had nothing to do with it. Otherwise, there is no excuse.
None whatsoever. I think I have, oh, this is an old story. I was going to say, I think I have an Auntie of the Year story, but that happened back in June. About an aunt who zip-tied bags on kids' heads.
Oh my God. Don't tell me any more sad news stories about children.
Well, I got one more to tell you here. This is sent
Oh, Tim.
And then we'll get to Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. There's a reason I didn't include this in Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, because it's very dumb, but it involves a kid. So we left it today. Here it is, Jess, our last story and ripped from the headlines today. And it goes like this. An Arkansas couple allegedly tried to sell their infant for $1,000 and a six-pack of beer.
What is wrong with people?
I don't know. You ever try to sell your kids for anything?
No, give me that baby. I'll take that baby. Not love on that baby. It's so funny that my morning started with my daughter actually being so emotionally overwhelmed by how nice I am. She was crying and telling me, "You're the nicest mom in the whole world."
Aww.
I was like, "Don't cry about it."
Aww.
It's like, you never get mad. I'm like, what's there to get mad about? Life's too short.
I'm coming.
And now I'm listening to all this thinking, oh, give me these kids.
Coming to live with you. I don't have that nice of people in my life. They yell at me.
Come on over, Timmy.
Okay. We go to Benton County, Arkansas, where a woman and her boyfriend were arrested last week for allegedly attempting to sell their 2-month-old child at a campground where they lived. There's something about that sentence that just pretty much slows the entire story up.
There is a lot wrong in that situation.
Yeah, there is. According to the probable cause affidavit on September 21st, a campground manager contacted the Benton County Sheriff's Office after learning that Shalene Ehlers and Darian Urban allegedly tried to give up the baby for a 6-pack of beer and then wanted $1,000 for the baby. So in logic terms, Jess, originally it was just a 6-pack of beer, but then they double clutched and went, and we want $1,000.
You're sitting over there going, I think we could get some money too.
Yeah, because eventually we're going to run out of beer
And meth.
and meth. The child reportedly required medical attention, so emergency services arrived at the scene and took the infant to Children's Hospital.
I hope they'd never give that baby back to those people.
Yep. The responding deputy was given a note that Urban and Ehlers reportedly wrote, which said, I, Darian Urban and Shailene Ehlers, are signing our rights over to Cody Nathaniel Martin, our baby boy, for $1,000 on 9/21/2024. Now, does the boy have 3 names, or is Martin his last name? And it's not Darian Urban's kid.
Ooh.
See what I did there?
Yeah, good point. I think you might be onto something.
Cody Nathaniel Martin. I don't think he has parental rights to even give the kid away.
Well, I hope he has a nice dad out there somewhere that they can give him to.
I hope so too.
Poor little guy.
There was also a disclaimer saying, after signing this, there will be no changing y'all two's minds and to never contact again. Did you get all that?
It's a final no return policy.
Yeah, it is.
Final sale
that is-
item there.
That is a do not return, do not disturb, do not do anything. No deposit, no return. You remember how they used to have that on glass bottles? Yeah. The affidavit says a man named Ricky Crawford went to Ehlers and Urban's camper and asked to take care of the child overnight. He reportedly gave them several cans of beer while the couple handed Crawford the infant and a diaper bag. Crawford brought the baby back to Martin, who signed the letter. Detectives noticed that Crawford appeared heavily intoxicated and that his breath smelled heavily of alcoholic beverage. Crawford reportedly said he worried about the child's welfare and wanted to take care of him. A detective spoke with the couple, who said the baby was undergoing an adoption. Ehlers and Urban were detained and interviewed by investigators. They reportedly provided detectives with a similar story. According to the affidavit, Ehlers and Urban said they offered to surrender the baby to Martin in exchange for $1,000 in cash, which was supposed to be handed over on Monday, September 23rd. They allegedly recorded their agreement and had plans to legalize it. Oh, so Martin is the baby's new last name.
Oh,
Yeah. See, they already named the baby Martin.
boy, they were like, let's go.
That's right. Witness reportedly told investigators that when Crawford returned with the infant, they noticed the child had bad ammonia and fecal odor, and the diaper was full. Why did it smell like ammonia?
Because that's what your duty ends up turning into.
I guess. The witness changed the diaper and observed heavy rash, blisters, and swelling on the baby's buttocks and genitals. Jeez, that poor kid. Ehlers allegedly told Martin it was not working having 3 dogs and a baby.
So cute.
So we'll keep the 3 dogs because they know how to lick themselves and keep themselves clean. Baby ain't mastered that yet. Doesn't know how to lick itself and keep itself clean. So we're gonna.
This is just so wrong.
I learned me a new word on the TV today. We're gonna eschew the baby, and we're gonna let the baby go about its own way, and we're gonna keep the dogs if you don't mind. Martin then got the campground owner to call law enforcement. Thank God.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Yeah. Ehlers and Urban were both arrested on charges of first-degree endangering the welfare of a minor, an attempt to commit consideration for relinquishing a minor for adoption. Court records show Urban was sentenced in June to 3 years probation for theft by receiving. Urban posted $50,000 bond, but Ehlers remains held in the Benton County Jail, where they probably all should be. Just, by the way, this is what two people who want to give their kid up for $1,000 and a 6-pack of beer look like.
Oh,
Just so you know.
yeah. They look extremely unhappy.
Yeah. Don't they though? They look
They look like a couple that live in a
in a
movable home.
movable home.
It's a true mobile home.
True mobile. Let me tell you something. I ain't got to jack it up on wheels because it's got its own wheels that move on there.
That's right.
Just telling you that.
I lived in a few mobile homes in my day, but they weren't actually, you couldn't hitch them to anything and drive them away.
That's right. They're semi-permanent. That means we put down roots here in this family.
That's right. You got some blocks under them and stuff.
All right. With that, it's time now for us to lighten things up a bit. We're not selling any children. By the end of the segment, though, you may have to take and put them in the closet.
Oh, no.
It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
All right, folks, it's time once again, the time you've all been looking forward to. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals. We've already introduced you to Jess, so we'll just jump into it. We'll jump into that. The first story, which is sent in by one of our listeners. By the way, if you have a story that you want to send in to us, a story that's got a little bit of a sense of humor and, of course, is always stupid and has got some stupid criminal in it, you can send it to tim@darknessradio.com. Our first story is about women who were scammed out of $360,000 by a Brad Pitt impersonator or impersonators in Operation Brolina. Did you hear about this?
Sounds like a movie.
It does, doesn't it? It sounds like it came out of a movie. Yes, Jess. Have you heard about this? I first heard about this on Entertainment Tonight.
No, I haven't heard about it.
Oh, all right. Well, police in Spain have arrested 5 people suspected of scamming 2 women out of more than $360,000 by impersonating Brad Pitt. Now, before we go any further, this is more than just stupid criminals. This is some stupid people. Why would Brad Pitt need your money? He's got a brand new movie out on Apple Plus. He's getting paid.
Yeah, he's doing good.
Yeah.
That's a Brad Pitt, George Clooney movie, too. That's
Yes, it is.
double bang for your buck.
Yeah. They're doing okay. Why would they come to you and ask you for money?
I think not.
Yeah. An additional 10 people are under investigation for possible involvement in the scheme known as Operation Brolina. Spain's national law enforcement, the Guardia Civil, confirmed in a news release. My Spanish ain't too good. Police said the 2 primary co-conspirators behind the scam have been identified among those detained. Scammers posed as the movie star on a fan website dedicated toward him, police said. Convinced the money was going toward Pitt, one woman sent 175,000 euros, or around $195,000, Jess.
Why would you give that to someone who's already rich?
I don't know. Well, the other lost 150,000 euros, or around $167,000. Who believes Brad Pitt is contacting you on the internet?
No, I mean, that's just silly.
Now, officials did manage to recover 85,000 euros, or around $95,000 of the swindled total, according to the Guardia Civil. Listen to me. Civil. The Guardia Civil. I want to keep saying Civil like I'm some sort of foreign national. The operation involves several bank accounts used to create fake identity documents and money mules to help launder funds, according to police. Through messaging platform WhatsApp, oh, of course, good old WhatsApp, the two women were tricked into thinking they were investing in some of Pitt's projects, according to the Guardia Civil. Both were under the impression that they had a romantic relationship and a future together.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you
I
see?
mean, I feel bad for them that they got swindled, but
I
be
don't.
smart.
I don't. Do you really think Brad Pitt's hitting you up online and going, "Hey, baby, I'm so in love with you. Could you just
Not even on my hottest day, Tim.
forward me 195,000 euro? I mean, I'll get it back to you."
There's nothing suspicious about this, right? Like,
No, not at all.
no, not at all.
God, I know I've been with Angelina Jolie, but you are so much hotter. Could you give me 167,000 euros? I mean, just until tomorrow. That's all. Wake up!
Oh, ladies.
Oh. And here am I. Here I am. Here am I. Here I am hanging out with chipmunks. What am I doing with my life? In order to find their victims, the cyber criminals studied their social networks and put together a psychological profile of them, discovering as a result that both women were vulnerable people suffering from depression and a lack of affection. The Guardia Civil said in a statement. You think? Speaking of George Clooney, I know I've told this story on the show before. I had an ex-girlfriend who had a best friend. I won't say names. She was convinced she was going to marry George Clooney.
Like, for real?
Yeah, for real.
Okay.
For years. I think she's still convinced. She's not married to this day. But she was convinced that, I swear to God, that George Clooney was coming through the movie screen and talking to her. Yeah, and that they were going to be together. It was only
a nice fantasy. Yeah.
Even after he got married and moved to Lake Como in Italy.
Like, there's still a chance.
It was a temporary thing. I was like, come on, girl, it's done. It's done. You gonna move on now? It's done. It's a temporary thing. He needed something to distract him until we're ready to be together. You should have heard the bullshit coming.
Oh my goodness. My question is, did George Clooney know she existed?
I asked that question too. Do you think he even knows you exist? He knows
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He knows I'm out there. He can feel my mind out there. I can feel his mind out there. I'm like, holy shit. Right?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonder if he's feeling anything now. I'm thinking this person is ripe to be, this is one of those people that would give 167,000.
Yeah. I mean, it's so sad because there are so many lonely people and people struggling with depression, and that I don't poo-poo that at all. That is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But shame on these people for taking advantage of that. I mean, listen to them. They're like creating psychological profiles or like using all their smarts for evil.
Although someone came along and said they were Janet Jackson. I might give them $250 or $3. Just saying. Not more than that, because I don't have any more than that. But just saying. You might get all a tree fitty.
I don't know if I could get a handful of people to think I was Janet Jackson. Like, 100,000 people.
Yeah.
I could come out on top.
You said on top. Remember the Super Bowl rip? She didn't have a top for like 3 seconds.
Who needs one when you're Janet Jackson?
That's right. Just saying. In a video shared on X, police showed a handwritten love letter that read, "My love for you is a real feeling that comes from my heart and forever. Please forgive me and accept me more than ever because I love you and this world is in love with you." You don't know that that's not Brad Pitt?
This world is in love with you? Like the whole world?
No, give me 167,000 euros, please. Because the world's in love with you, baby. Not me, but I mean the world. And the world.
And the world. Yeah.
Yeah. No, not me in the world. Just the world. But the world needs your money. And I will help the world get that money. So if you just give me the money to get to the world, I think you'll find we'll all be much happier.
Honestly, I'm so confused by what you're saying right now. I'm honestly about to Venmo you
Are
some money.
are you really? That's great. See, I think I could be
It
one of
worked.
you guys. See? Yeah. After multiple bank transfers, the two victims learned they had been scammed. Surprise! And informed the police. Oh, dear God.
Oh, can you just imagine that moment though when they figure it out? Just you'd feel sick for being so dumb.
I have a little saying for these ladies. Your money like a 2-inch cock. Just keep it in your pants. That's all I got to say about that. You don't gain anything by whipping it up. You know what I'm saying? It's just not gonna. It is gonna not a thing. Yeah.
I mean, maybe at a P. Diddy party though. I mean, it's a freak on.
Oh, it's a freak.
All are welcome.
That's right. All are welcome. That's a good comeback there. Touche, Jess. Touche. All right. Our next story. There's a reason why it's called closing time, because nothing good happens after closing time, Jess, especially for this man.
Uh-oh.
A man with a crowbar is shot after being kicked out of a late night club.
Uh-oh.
Well, sometimes stuff happens. The shooting took place early on September 27th on the 900 block of Spring Garden Street. Philadelphia police say. Of course it happened in Philadelphia. You ever hung out on the Philly streets late at night?
No.
Nothing happens.
I did have a good Philly sandwich in Philadelphia once on a pretty sketchy street.
Yep. See?
But it was daylight.
Oh, there's good food in Philly. But I've hung out on Philly streets after 3 a.m. Nothing good happens on a Philly street after 3 a.m. Just go to bed. Go to bed. A man apparently wielding a crowbar was shot outside a North Philadelphia late night club early Friday morning, according to police. The man appeared to have been kicked out of the club located off the 900 block of Spring Garden Street after 4 a.m. on September 27th, that according to Philadelphia Police Inspector Michael Gormley. After being told to leave the club, the man, believed to be in his 30s, allegedly returned with a crowbar and started smashing windows. Oh, that trick never works.
No, bad idea.
Yeah, bad idea. No further details about the shooting were immediately revealed after someone shot the man in the chest. The man underwent surgery at the hospital where he was listed in critical condition.
Yeah.
Somebody probably said, hey, you see that weirdo with the crowbar? I'm going to shoot him. Yeah, and that ended his night. So you probably don't want anything to do with that. You don't want that action at 3 in the morning. Or 4 in the morning. Just go home. Sleep it off.
Home.
Yeah. The alcohol makes you want to do weird things. Go home.
It just makes me want to hug everyone and then go to bed.
There's a nice all-night diner in City Center. Or Center City. I'm sorry, City Center. City Center's in Minneapolis. Center City is in Philadelphia. There's a nice all-night diner in Center City. Go sit down. Have whatever you want for breakfast.
That's right. Have some coffee, get a Sammy, call it a day.
That's right. You got it, Jess. You got it. Our next story has to do with 2 Delta Airlines agents who've smuggled over $3 million in ketamine through JFK Airport.
Wow, and I get nervous just to take my shampoo and conditioner.
Evidently, they're not. They have special privilege.
Imagine the anxiety you would have if you were smuggling ketamine in, and I'm just like, hope I don't have too much lotion in this bottle.
You know why it's the friendly skies, Jess? Because you're so fucking high on ketamine, you can't see straight. You just,
I'll do it.
you want to hug anything at that point when you're that high on ketamine. You'll hug the wall. 2 Delta Airlines ramp agents were arrested for smuggling more than $3 million worth of ketamine through JFK International Airport. Wow. Or if they had a connection to, what's his name from Friends?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, too soon. Leandro Elian, yes, and Fabian Inez were collared after they were allegedly spotted grabbing backpacks and suitcases off of a just arrived flight on September 19th, loading them onto a baggage transportation vehicle before ferrying the luggage to a deserted area of the tarmac, that according to court papers. Neither agent had authority to remove luggage, and Alien was not assigned to use a baggage vehicle at the time, according to authorities. Investigators for the U.S. Department of Homeland Security spotted the 39-year-old Alien of Brooklyn and Ines as they approached Flight 219, which had arrived from Copenhagen, Denmark, and later swooped in after the pair had started opening the bags, that according to court documents. They discovered each backpack contained multiple clear plastic bags containing a white crystallized substance, which field tests confirmed as ketamine. The pair were caught with 134 pounds of the drug, which had a street value of $3 million.
Just a little bit.
That's a nice score. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have no words for that. I was going to try, but I have no words for that. 4 of the suitcases bore luggage tags with the names of 2 different Flight 219 passengers, prosecutors said in a Brooklyn federal court paper. The complaint did not specify if the passengers were part of the smuggling operation, but did say Alain and Ines were working with others, so it was part of a bigger ring. Boy, can you imagine that? I mean, you're going to lose your flight privileges there, Jess. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, you're not
Hope you
going to
lose more privileges than that.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to fly the world for like $30 anymore. I mean,
Nope.
no, you're not going to be.
Might even not be able to walk out of a prison cell for a while.
Well, there's that too, but I mean, you just can't on a weekend just jump on a flight and go to Greece anymore.
Nope.
No, I mean, you lose that privilege. That's kind of a nice privilege to say. Our next story comes from one of our listeners. Again, if you have a story for us, tim@darknessradio.com. I love some of the stories that our listeners come up with because they're unusual.
They always send the good ones.
That's right. This one has to do with a burglar that cooked herself shrimp and pasta after breaking into a stranger's home.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
It does, doesn't it? You just settle in. You're gonna rob somebody. This one comes from Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, not far away. They could break into my house and make me some shrimp and pasta as long as they share.
I don't think they were making it for the homeowner, Jess.
Oh, well, never mind. Get out then.
That's right. Yeah, mooch. A woman was arrested late Tuesday night in Madison, Wisconsin, after allegedly entering a stranger's home while they were away and cooking dinner for herself. See, I told you they weren't cooking for the family.
So selfish.
This isn't a Mr. Belvedere situation. This is
A girl can dream.
Yeah, I know. The Madison Police Department said the resident of the home in the 400 block of South Livingston Street returned around 10:30 p.m. to find the lights on. She was reportedly startled as she had been away from home all day. After spotting someone inside walking around, the woman called police. Police said when officers arrived, they witnessed a woman walking around very casually around the home. Officers ordered her to come to the door. They said she went to the door and calmly told police that she had gotten permission to be inside the home from the resident, who she mentioned by name. We picked up a piece of mail. Just said.
Yeah.
Police said the suspect was inside the home long enough to inspect the mail, gather details about the resident, and cook herself a dinner of shrimp and pasta that did not belong to her. In crafting a detailed story, the suspect allegedly told officers that she met the resident of the home at a coffee shop earlier in the day. The suspect claimed she had been given the keys to the house.
That is ballsy.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? The Madison Police Department did not share how the woman actually got into the home. Resident insisted that she had never met the woman who was found inside, according to the police report, adding that the alleged burglar did not have permission to be in her home and eat her food. The suspect was arrested for alleged residential burglary and booked into the Dane County Jail. Wonder if she got to take the food with her.
Oh, I was going to say she better have left some leftovers, put them in a little, nice container with the lid on it and stuck in the fridge for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, and just a little note, nice little card saying welcome home.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be
I think
worth
it's too much to ask.
Wouldn't that be worth the trouble at that point?
I mean, I don't know what I would give for someone to just come in and make me some dinner. Clean my house.
Make dinner, clean up afterwards.
Make dinner, do the dishes. You don't even have to dust. I don't even mind the dust bunnies. I like a little dust. You can write notes in it. It's fun.
Oh wow, look at you. You're like,
There's
yeah,
always a bright side.
I don't
Even
care
to
if you
Phil.
make a little mess. Look at, as long as you leave me notes. Just
Yeah.
like heart you. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for your hospitality. Oh,
Pasta's in the fridge.
pasta's in the fridge. I cracked open a bottle of vino, but I corked it. And I didn't drink all of it.
Left you a glass and a half, just like you like.
That's right. Just enough for you. Heart you. See you next time. See you when I get out. Aw. That's kind of chilling and kind of nice all in the same bit.
Yeah, super creepy. I really don't want people breaking in my house.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
joking.
We should probably put a cap on that, shouldn't we?
Find someone in here. Well, you said.
Yeah, right. This next food crime is self-inflicted. This also comes from one of our listeners. A man died after accidentally stabbing himself while separating two frozen burger patties.
Oh, that is like my worst nightmare. You're too busy or lazy to plan ahead. So you're rushing to get dinner on for the kids. And you cut your carotid artery.
There's such a thing called defrost in the microwave.
Sometimes that can take like 10 to 15 minutes, Tim.
Yeah, you throw some goldfish at the kids and
Got those little buggers saying, is dinner ready yet?
you throw some goldfish crackers at the kids and say, go snack. It's going to take 10 to 15 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you use a butter knife to separate frozen patties.
True.
Butter
Run it under the water. Run it underwater. Comes
Right.
apart so fast.
Right. Run it under the water. They have those mats now. Have you seen those mats where you put the frozen and then they melt like really quickly?
Oh, I haven't seen those.
Oh, see, those are
I did see someone on TikTok preparing a chicken dish, and before she used the chicken, she washed it with Dawn dish soap.
No, ick.
Like every comment was like, why?
What was the chicken in an oil spill? Why would you put Dawn dishwashing liquid on it?
Don't wash your food with Dawn dish soap and then cook it. That's just weird.
It is not marinade. You don't put
No.
Dawn on it.
Anyway, sorry.
No, I'm disturbed. I don't know that I can read now. That's disturbing.
I'm gonna find it and send it to you. It was and she was like making this great dish, and then she starts washing it with Dawn, and I'm just like, what? Am I seeing this right? Like she put a generous helping of Dawn on there. Really cleaned it.
Did she have a flavor that she preferred over one over the
Was
other?
it lemon fresh or apple?
Right. It had to be lemon.
My daughter prefers original.
Ew.
Not for eating. She just likes the smell of it.
Oh, I was going to say it has no taste. You got to go for the lemon.
I usually do the apple, and then she always says, "Can we get the original?"
No.
If original was great, they wouldn't have all these other kinds.
That's right. That's right.
Duh.
If original was so great, they wouldn't come out with 47 different varieties. And besides, the ducks like apple.
That's right. They do.
They clean
Makes
off
them feel good.
the ducks and the oil spill. They like the apple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but not your chicken breast, Tim. Not your chicken
Right.
breast.
The chicken breast like lemon chicken. Oh, I had lemon chicken last night from Leanne Chin. You know, even though they've gone down in quality a little bit, it's still darn good. You know, every once in a while you got to have a little Leanne Chin. That's what she said. I've been waiting all day to say that. No,
You got it in.
I got it in. That's
what she said.
No, yeah. How long has it been since you've had Leanne Chin?
I've actually never had Leanne Chin.
What? Seriously?
I perceive it would give me diarrhea.
No.
I don't know why. I'm scared of it. My husband wants to get it every now and then. I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea.
I'm scared of it. Really?
Legit. I don't know why. I don't know if I read something somewhere. I just feel like it would definitely wreak havoc on my digestive system.
Oh, no. It's good. It's
Good.
I mean, it was better 20 years ago, but it was the ultimate Chinese junk food of the 90s.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to try it sometime.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Especially if you stick to like the orange chicken, lemon chicken. They have what's called a Chin Dynasty plate where you get 2 half entrees and fried rice. Get the fried rice and get the lemon chicken, orange chicken. You're fine.
Okay. Yeah, that and White Castle. Never had that either.
No, stay away from White Castle. No, that will make you explode. Yeah.
I'm like, it's called a slider. It's clearly gonna slide right through my intestine.
Yeah, no. Yeah, stay away from White Castle. You don't need it. Ugh. Speaking of burger patties, we should get back to the story. Yeah, no. White Castle is one of those things you only need twice a year. Like, and here's when you need once if you get a little too drunk and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you absolutely need something to eat or you're going to have alcohol poisoning. The second time is if you feel like you're going to have a colon blockage. Those are the only times you need White Castle. It's twice a year.
That is solid advice. I am tucking that away for future use.
Yeah. And somebody had told me once, no, you can make like Thanksgiving stuffing out of White Castle. I'm like, now, Jess, I'm going to tell you something really disgusting. And people who love White Castle who are listening to this program are going to hate me for the rest of my natural life for saying this. White Castle tastes like fart smell. It's true. They do. I wish
like fart smell.
They do. They do. And it's the brand of onions, of Vidalia onions they use.
Oh,
They
no.
feed the onions, but they do. White Castle tastes like fart smell. It's like eating the inside of an intestine.
Yeah, it's like eating a fart.
It's like eating a fart. They just aren't. And the older you get, the worse they taste.
Yeah, as your tastes refine and you're not intoxicated regularly.
Yeah, as you're not pickled all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, like in college.
Yeah.
They're probably delicious.
Oh, they're wonderful when you're young. Yeah. But as you get older or more sane, they're just not
Tipsy
good.
less often. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just not good. You just go, you know what? I can spend my money on better burgers. Yeah.
It's true. I'm really picky about my calories too. Like I think about like I don't drink Starbucks because I don't want to drink my calories. Like I'd rather eat something delicious than, drink a frou-frou drink.
Right.
Definitely don't want to waste my calories on a White Castle. I don't want to eat something that tastes like a fart smell.
Yes, it tastes like a fart smells. Now, they do have decent chicken sandwiches.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but they're fried chicken sandwiches. And they do have they have awesome chocolate shakes.
Oh, I love chocolate shakes.
So
are their fries good? Do they have fries?
Yeah, they have good fries. But again,
fries.
their onion rings taste like a fart smell. So I mean, you can't win.
It is just bad onions then. You nailed it.
Yeah. What? And
They got the farty onions.
yeah, they're onion chips. They're not rings, but they're onion chips, and they taste like a fart smell. So it's their onions. Yeah. But yeah, it's just that's what it is. That's what it is. So I'm gonna have a lot of people who love White Castle hate me now. They're gonna be like, it does not taste like a fart smell. No, it tastes like the inside of someone's colon or ass. It really does. It's.
And he knows this from experience.
I do. I've eaten a lot of White Castle in my day.
I was going to say you've eaten a lot of asses.
Yes, I've eaten a lot of ass, Jess. So when somebody says to me, "You want to eat my ass?" I say, "No, I've been to White Castle."
Oh man, we have gone off the rails. Oh.
It's all tied into this burger story. I swear it is.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, what is the story about again?
It's about a guy who killed himself trying to separate burger patties.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad.
Tragic. but at least he didn't die eating ass. I'm just saying. All right, so here we go. So a man died after accidentally stabbing himself while trying to separate two frozen burger patties. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is why you always use a butter knife to separate your burger patties. As always, take this as an opportunity to learn from the mistakes of others. Fortunately, this man's mistake was fatal. 57-year-old Barry Griffiths was a very private man. And a news story this week says he accidentally stabbed himself in July of 2023 with a chef's knife in his Wales apartment while attempting to separate a pair of frozen burger patties. By the way, Jess, this is what the knife looked like. This is way too big to be separating two patties.
Oh my gosh, that's like what you used to be a serial killer with.
That's right. This is what most serial killers or most movie monsters take their victims out with.
Yeah, that was a poor choice.
Yeah, very poor choice. Here is the description of how they found Mr. Griffiths after he hadn't been heard from for a week. He was found fully clothed and with dried blood on his stomach, while blood splatters were found throughout his kitchen and bathroom. His phone, wallet, and computer had not been touched, and there was no sign of a struggle in the first floor apartment. It was only when the officers found the frozen burger that they were able to determine what had happened.
Oh my gosh. So he killed himself accidentally and he just laid there dead in his house for days before anyone noticed.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Investigators say the freezer door was open and the countertop next to the fridge contained the knife and the two uncooked burgers. The dried up wound in Griffith's abdomen was the same level as the countertop. The medical examiner, Patricia Morgan. Boy, that's an episode of CSI waiting to happen, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Forensic files, for sure.
That's right, forensic files. The medical examiner, Patricia Morgan, eventually ruled out Griffiths most likely died from an accident, not a suicide. Dr. Richard Jones, a home office pathologist, gave the cause of death as blood loss through sharp force injury. Sounds like Griffiths was struggling quite a bit in that apartment and unfortunately wasn't able to make contact with the outside world during his struggle. So, unfortunate. But that's why
That is sad.
you never stab two frozen burger patties with a sharp knife.
No.
You always get a butter knife, and if you have to, get like a little hammer. Just hammer the butter.
Yeah. Chisel it apart.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Our next story, we were talking about planes earlier and the Delta crew that brought back the ketamine. This plane was forced to make an emergency landing after a passenger discovered a live mouse in her in-flight meal. This from our
Ew.
listeners.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever been served the mouse on a first class flight, but it's
That is one critter I've never eaten. I've never eaten a mouse.
well, you can get it at White Castle. I'm just saying, it's part of their new mouse burger.
Tastes suspiciously like a fart.
It does. It tastes like a mouse fart. A plane was forced to make an emergency landing after a live mouse leapt out of an in-flight meal. By the way, this is not on an American flight.
I hope not.
I'll just point that out right now. The Scandinavian Airlines flight from the Norwegian capital Oslo to Malaga in the south of Spain was diverted to Copenhagen. Scandinavian Airlines said the diversion was an established procedure for safety reasons. Airlines ban rodents on board, probably because they can't pay for a ticket. Just saying. To prevent electrical wiring from being chewed through. That's the other reason. The passengers were later flown to Malaga on a different aircraft. One passenger, Jarl Borestad, that's a strong name, wrote on Facebook, "Believe it or not, a lady next to me here at SAS opened the food and out jumped a mouse."
I would die.
What's that?
I would die. I would expel everything in my body. I would poop my pants. I would totally lose every part of my mind.
Yeah, I think the words "what the" would come out. Now we have turned around and landed at CPH, or Copenhagen Airport, for flight changes. He also used laughing emojis and a photograph of himself smiling, seated next to two women, but he did not say whether the mouse was spotted again after jumping out of the food. Airline spokesperson Oystein Schmidt said, "This is something that happens extremely rarely. We have established
Happened before?
Yeah, but not all the time. Just rarely. Yeah. It's okay."
Not okay.
He says, "We have established procedures for such situations, which also include a review with our suppliers to ensure this does not happen again. And if it does, make sure it's dead and in the entree." Just saying. On Sunday, the pilot of a U.S. Delta Airlines flight was forced to make an emergency landing after a loss of pressure left some passengers reporting bleeding eardrums, headaches, and bloody noses. Much worse than a mouse. So,
I would say, I guess I'd take the mouse over the rest of that.
yeah. Panic ensued on the flight from Salt Lake City to Portland, Oregon, and paramedics met passengers at the gate after the plane landed. The airline apologized for that. They're like, "So sorry, but hey, you know what's better than that? A mouse in your food. How would you like that? We could put a mouse
Put this in perspective, people.
Yeah. You could have a mouse in your food, or you could die of bloody ears."
Yeah, you could be bleeding from your ears, or you could just have this cute little furry, darling little mouse in your food.
Yeah. So, Jess, I got to ask you, what do you think, if your children could take you to court for anything, what do you think they'd take you to court for?
I don't know, maybe for having a messy house. Maybe my house is too messy.
I'm talking about anything that you might have done to them.
Oh, anything I might have. I've never done anything to them. I'm too nice.
Oh, look at you. See? You've never done anything to them, like you've never accidentally given away any of their I suppose they don't have CDs. Look at
I
me.
did accidentally bump Logan's head into a door once when he was a baby, and I was storming out of a room in frustration,
Mhm.
and I spun around and I hit his head in the door.
So there was no pain and
So-
suffering charges there that he could have
Yeah, there, maybe that.
There you go. Okay. All right. Well, this 20-year-old man in Taiwan is going to take his own mother to court for throwing away his comic book collection.
Oh.
Now, he may have a case here. Let's see what he's got.
I mean, he might. Some of that stuff is worth a lot.
It is. So let's see if he has a case here. A 20-year-old Taiwanese man got so mad after his elderly mother threw away his prized manga collection without his consent that he took her to court and refused to reconcile with her. Oh, he's serious about his manga, let me tell you. A 64-year-old woman from Chiayi City, Taiwan, landed in hot water after throwing away her young son's 32-volume Attack on Titan manga collection. The two were living together, and the 64-year-old woman had become fed up with her son's ever-growing comic collection. So when she stumbled on or over his Attack on Titan manga collection and determined that the volumes were a little damp, she decided to recycle them and free up much needed space. She never checked. I know, right? Oh, God. She never checked with her son if it was okay. And when he came home and learned that his 32 volumes were gone, he was extremely angry and ended up calling the police on his mother. Oh, holy overreaction. The scorned son filed a complaint against his mother with the local police and later took her to court for destroying his personal property without his consent. In court, the 20-year-old man argued that Attack on Titan is a very popular manga, so finding another complete collection would be extremely difficult, considering that some of the 32 volumes are no longer in print and can be considered collector's items. On the other hand, his mother argued that some of the manga collections and volumes were damp and they were taking up so much room, so throwing them out of her home was justified. However, she expressed her desire to reconcile with her son, but he was unwilling to talk to her. Yeah, because he's a prick.
You just throw your entire relationship with your mom away over manga.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
The incident took place in February of this year, but the Chiayi District Court only recently issued a verdict in the case, fining the mother 5,000 Taiwanese dollars or $160 for property damage, a sentence that can be commuted to community service for failure to respect her son's property rights was inappropriate, the court ruled. According to Taiwanese media, the son is still unwilling to reconcile with his elderly mother. Over $160.
Oh, well, I think that guy has some issues to deal with more than his missing manga.
That's for sure. That's for sure. One more story, and then we'll get to Not Safe for Work as we're starting to wrap up Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals today. This one's kind of funny. I find a sense of humor about this. Again, we're not a political show, but this story I found particularly funny. Are you ready for this, Jess?
I'm always ready, Tim.
All right. You know, we've got to find some humor in the Hurricane Helene stuff that's been happening. There's been some tragic loss of life. I think 84 people now have died.
No.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And rising.
Yeah, and rising. It's been a tragic hurricane, both in Florida, Georgia, and North Carolina. Some hurricane looters in the Tampa Bay area are taking advantage of it, however.
Of course.
They hit a Donald Trump merchandise store. The suspects claimed the stolen goods had just washed up during the storm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
they took advantage of it. As Hurricane Helene battered a Florida city covered by a state of emergency declaration, two men allegedly burglarized a Trump store stocked with merchandise promoting the ex-president. According to cops who say one of the alleged looters was wearing a Trump cowboy hat when busted.
Oh, so he was taking some for himself.
Yeah, he just,
I thought they were just going to flip it.
Yeah, no, well, there's more.
Okay.
Friday evening, investigators patrolling a closed-off section of Madera Beach, which is a city in the Tampa Bay area, discovered two men loitering outside a closed business plaza, whose tenants include a realtor, a gift shop selling crystals and shark teeth, and the Trump store. Okay? The Trump outlets stocks a variety of Trump 2024 banners and stickers, fight, fight, fight t-shirts, and the classic Let's Go Brandon and F Your Feelings products. I'm censoring myself. When police approached the pair, they were in possession of merchandise that matched items sold in the Trump store, which was unsecured due to damages from the storm, of course. It had torn up the business plaza, correct? One of the suspects, 57-year-old Lance Petrosevic, was wearing a Trump cowboy hat that he claimed ended up in his possession after it washed up from the hurricane. Petrosevic was accompanied by 61-year-old John Peters, right? Petrosevic and Peters were arrested for burglarizing an unoccupied structure, which is a felony, and loitering and prowling, which is a misdemeanor. They were locked up in the county jail in lieu of $2,500 bond and have been ordered by a judge to stay away from the Trump store. Petrosevic, I'll show you a picture here in a minute, Jess, told cops he works as a local fisherman in the area, but does not live here. Peters, who appeared heavily intoxicated, did not make any statements to the police.
That was probably smart.
Yeah.
The smartest thing you did all day.
Probably, yes. Both defendants are transients with lengthy arrest records for crimes like trespass, disorderly intoxication, theft, drug possession, and possession of open alcohol. And you're right, Jess. They probably were picking it up so they could sell it on the open market. But there you go. There's your two offenders right there.
Look like they're living a hard knock life, Tim.
That's right. They were probably just looking to turn a buck. So there you go.
Need a little cash
That's right.
and a hat to keep the sun off your face.
Well, yeah. I mean, because eventually the sun comes out after the rain.
That's right. And a cowboy hat has some nice, coverage around.
That's right. And, eventually when the sun comes out, it gets warm in Florida. And what better than to, sun's out, guns out. Let's show them guns with a fuck your feelings t-shirt.
Exactly.
Yeah. Put one of those on.
But cut the sleeves off. I mean,
Yeah. You got to go sleeveless.
perfect.
All right. It's time now for the not safe for work portion of the program. For this, we're going to need you to take your kids, tell them to go fuck their feelings and put them in the closet real quick. And tell your employees that you're with at work to fuck their feelings and basically stop listening to the program with you because we're about to get offensive. So here we go. We're doing it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First of all, we're getting knee deep in sheep. I know Jess is like, what?
What?
A Montana man is getting 6 months in prison for cloning giant sheep and breeding it.
Oh. I don't think I want to know.
It's not what you think.
Oh.
We're going to Great Falls, Montana, where an 81-year-old Montana man was sentenced Monday to 6 months in federal prison for allegedly using tissue and testicles from large sheep hunted in Central Asia and the U.S. to create hybrid sheep for captive trophy hunting in Texas and Minnesota. U.S. District Court Judge Brian Morris said he struggled to come up with a sentence for Arthur Jack Schubarth of Vaughn, Montana. He said he weighed Schubarth's age and lack of a criminal record with a sentence that would deter anyone else from trying to change the genetic makeup of the creatures on the earth. Morris also fined Schubarth $20,000 and ordered him to make a $4,000 payment to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Foundation. Schubarth will be allowed to self-report to a Bureau of Prisons medical facility. I will have to work the rest of my life to repair everything I've done, Schubarth told the judge just before sentencing. Schubarth's attorney, Jason Holden, said cloning the giant Marco Polo sheep hunted in Kyrgyzstan in 2013 has ruined his client's life, reputation, and family. I think this has broken him, Holden said. Holden, in seeking a probationary sentence, argued that Schubarth was a hardworking man, was always cared for animals, and did something that no one else could have done in cloning the giant sheep, which he named Montana Mountain King, or MMK.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
The animal has been confiscated by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services and is being held in an accredited facility until it can be transferred to a zoo, said Richard Baer, who is a special agent with the Wildlife Service. Sarah Brown, an attorney with the U.S. Department of Justice, had asked that Schubarth be sentenced to prison, saying his illegal breeding operation was widespread, involved other states, and endangered the health of other wildlife. The crime involved forethought, was complex, and involved other illegal acts, she said. Schubarth owns Sun River Enterprises, which is a 215-acre alternative livestock ranch, which buys, sells, and breeds alternative livestock such as mountain sheep, mountain goats, and ungulates, primarily for private hunting preserves, where people shoot captive trophy game animals for a fee, according to prosecutors. He had been in the game farm business since 1987. Schubarth pleaded guilty in March to charges that he and 5 other people conspired to use tissue from a Marco Polo sheep illegally brought into the U.S. to clone that animal and then use its clone and its descendants to create a larger hybrid species of sheep that would be more valuable for captive hunting operations. Marco Polo sheep are the largest in the world, can weigh 300 pounds, and have curled up horns up to 5 feet long, according to court records. You'll learn something new every day, Jeff.
Oh, it's quite a story. I had to Google undulates. I'd never heard that word before.
No, there's two meanings to undulates, by the way.
I saw that when I Googled it.
Yeah, that's what a Marco Polo sheep looks like.
Well, he's a handsome guy.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, I'm impressed the guy could clone him. That's pretty scientific.
Yeah. The only clone sheep I remember is Dolly. Remember Dolly?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what a Marco Polo sheep looks like. They kind of remind me of what you would think a goat looks like, or a ram, with the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a fancy undulate.
Just a fancy undulate. That's right. Look at you using the new word right away.
I also fancy undulate when I dance and I drink too much.
My fancy undulate. Now it sounds like you're talking about undergarments. My fancy undulate. That's how they talk about them down south. All right, now we're about to get into it. This next person was called Absolutely Disgusting.
Great. I can't wait to hear about him.
This guy is a voyeur who hid under vehicles at a car wash to stare at women's feet.
What? Get an OnlyFans account.
Right? Well, that he's got to pay for. This he could just hide out at the car wash.
This is free. That sounds dangerous. You could get run over.
Or wet, one or the other. You could get toe fungus or something. A man previously cited for hiding under women's vehicles to stare at their feet did it again at a car wash this summer, according to cops in the city of Gilbert, Arizona. 28-year-old Jesse Michael Johnson is charged with voyeurism and disorderly conduct, according to the Phoenix Fox affiliate KSAZ. In separate incidents, 3 women were vacuuming their SUVs at a Superstar car wash location near Riggs Road and Val Vista Drive. That's how he got them. He would sit under their car while they were vacuuming, Jess.
How did he get under their car? He had to drive in, and then he had to army crawl under their car.
I think this is what it is. Okay, so you go through, you get your car washed, right? You get the people who kind of wash your car, but then you have how when you drive out, you got the vacuum it yourself deal?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think when the women get out to vacuum the car themselves, he probably slips under the car and looks at their feet.
So weird.
It is weird. It's bizarre.
That's...
In separate incidents, 3 women were vacuuming their SUVs at a Superstar car wash location. In these 3 incidents, the defendant pulled into a parking spot next to the victim. Oh, it's even better than that. While each victim was vacuuming her vehicle, defendant hid under her SUV and spent several minutes under her vehicle. The defendant climbed out from under the vehicle when each victim was finishing her vacuuming and left the area. Bizarre. Surveillance footage caught a man in the act. Cops say that this is Johnson. He was arrested Tuesday and held on $10,000 bond. At one point, you can see his head pop out on the driver's side. Looking up at me, one of the women, Chanel, told AZ Family, I just never would have thought in a million years that there would be someone underneath of my car. At this point, I need to stop the story and ask you, Jess. Okay, you're at a car wash. You're vacuuming out your car. Someone's head comes out and does this and is looking at your feet. What do you say?
I think I'd be like, that'll be $5, sir.
And if he
Leave
pays
your
it,
cash on my dashboard. These feet aren't free.
these feet aren't free. Much like your freedom, these feet aren't free. $5, please. Interesting. All right.
Probably a good deal though. I got some pretty feet, so probably should be 10.
Probably should be 10. You're giving him the you're
Giving him a discount because he looks desperate.
They're getting the Groupon discount along
Right. I can see you falling on hard times, Jesse.
You're getting the $5 discount. You're getting the 50% off Groupon. Surveillance footage showed the perpetrator return to his vehicle at that point and act like he was cleaning one of his tires. Oh, so he's like, yeah.
I'll play that off
let me get that for you.
under someone's car, looking up at them,
Yeah.
and then just casually get out and be like, no, I'm just cleaning my tires.
Cleaning my tires. By the way, you have nice feet. I mean, this tire looks like I got it all. Mm-hmm. All of the victims had flip-flops and shorts on. That's what we all had in common, Chanel said. Ooh, he has a type.
He likes the flip-flops.
Yeah. She described having nightmares because of the incident. Going into the community and doing this to women is absolutely disgusting, and I don't think he realizes what it's doing to us as the victims, Chanel said. Back in June of 2016, when Johnson was 20, authorities in Nebraska once cited him for hiding under a woman's car to touch her feet. Okay, that's creepy.
That is too much.
Yeah. You hear booga booga, and then he grabbed your toes.
That'll get you killed if you
Yeah.
touch my feet from under my car.
That'll get your head kicked in.
Just out of reflex.
Yeah. I mean, how can you be so stupid as to kind of grab somebody's feet when you're under a car? I mean, that you're gonna get curb stomped. I mean, come on. He had to have learned a lesson, right?
He must have. That's why he just looks at him now.
Yeah,
No
that's why-
touchy.
You get touched, you get stomped, son. This was reportedly the fourth time that year that he was cited for that. Oh my God. In Nebraska. Johnson reportedly admitted at the time that he was sexually attracted to women's feet, and he asserted that he could not control his sexual desires. By the way, a preliminary hearing for Mr. Foot Fetish is October 3rd. There you go. All right. I believe we have 2 stories left. This next story sent to me by our friend Bijou out in Las Vegas. If I can get the story to come up, because it was having a little bit of an issue earlier. And then the last story we have today is by far the most disgusting criminal I think I've heard in quite some time.
Okay. I'll brace myself.
Brace yourself. This next story takes place in China. Now, occasionally, you know, as a society, we have different things that break down, right? You know, we have, because mechanics aren't perfect, right? So we have things that break down. We have cars that break down. In this case, it was a train that broke down. We go to China, where a gross video shows a poocano blowing 33 feet in the air, covering pedestrians and cars everywhere, drenched in poo, Jess.
Volcano. Ugh.
A poocano. The worst thing, and yes, it was a literal shitstorm. A stomach-churning video shows the moment that human sewage erupted on a busy Chinese motorway, drenching cars, pedestrians, and bikers in what was being dubbed as a poocano. The explosion of waste came around 11 a.m. last Wednesday as newly installed sewage pipes in Nanning in the southern Guangxi region of China suddenly ruptured. I thought this was from a train. I guess this was from sewage pipes. Same thing. Shocking video shows a huge brown cloud of waste shooting up nearly 33 feet in the air and splattering cars and pedestrians across the motorway. The quote from one driver reportedly claimed, "I'm drenched in poo. My car is splattered yellow. It's ruined."
Oh, no. Splattered yellow.
I have to show you some of this, the picture here. Dash cam footage shows the orange-brown geyser of poo billow out of the pipe before splatting the windshields of cars and unsuspecting bikers. Can you imagine being on a motorcycle and going,
no?
But no one was injured in the explosion, but the powerful blast flipped over one digger at the construction site.
Oh my gosh.
What do you say? Oh, so they must have hit a pipe while they were doing construction. And it must have went boom.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Here, let me show you. Yeah, I mean, you see this explosion. Literally, it's just this explosion of brown orange up in the air. Here we go. Here's the
So
picture.
nasty.
Take a look at this.
Oh, that's so nasty.
Isn't it?
It is seriously just the sky is poo,
Yeah.
and that's all going to come down.
I think that's a Jimi Hendrix lyric. The sky is poo.
Sky is poo.
Yeah, and then, but the screen capture in the video is even worse. Look at that.
Oh, that's so much.
Isn't it? That's all
Yeah,
the
that's
air. So, you know,
ugh.
what goes up must come down, right?
Yep. Oh, I can't even
Yeah.
imagine. I'll
And
take the mouse in my food, please.
for 500. Police were saying, by the way, they didn't know if they were going to charge anybody or if there were any charges against
I
anybody.
mean, obviously it was an accident.
Yeah.
That poor person who was the cause. I can't even imagine how bad he would feel.
Yeah.
And he would probably be really stinky because it probably got all over him too.
Yeah. By the way, there's a headline here that says, I once snuck into a Diddy party. Here's how I schmoozed with the stars at the event with naked women and the best hot dogs. Just saying, if they have great hot dogs at that party, I'm going.
The best hot dogs. I do like hot dogs. I wish I didn't. They're so disgusting. One time we got like a tooth in one or something.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was bad.
No. Don't
Yeah,
tell me
it was not meat.
that.
Turned me off to hot dogs for about a week, and then I was back.
Oh, just a
Buy the
week.
kosher ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You got to get the kosher.
Then you're safe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I was back in my poor days. I had to buy the cheap ones.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I try not to buy the cheap ones. You get $2 to $3 or higher per package. You got to go.
Yeah, you got to get the good ones.
Yeah. You just have to. Okay. Last story here, Jess. This is the dumbest criminal ever. And the reason I say the dumbest criminal ever, because he started out with incredibly bad videos and went even worse in his time. We get this story from the Metro, and you always have to wonder when you're getting a story from the Metro if it's for real or for play. Okay, so during a raid of his home, detectives seized a mobile phone containing 75 videos of monkeys in distress.
I'm just pondering what you've just said.
Right. I
I'm
want you to
letting that soak in. Monkeys in distress.
monkeys
Okay.
in distress. We're talking monkey torture videos.
Oh, Tim.
But he graduated to monkey torture videos. It was worse.
How could it be worse?
It got worse, Jess. And I'll tell you a little bit more here in a second. So, Jess, here's the story. I know it seems really weird. It sounds bizarre, but a quote unquote gentle giant who secretly shared extremely perverse videos of baby monkeys being tortured on Facebook has finally been jailed for 20 months.
That's what he gets. 20 months.
20 months. But this isn't the worst thing he's done. This guy is incredibly stupid. And he
Sounds like it, just based on that alone.
And he deserves our final spot today on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals. 42-year-old Peter Stanley was part of a private Facebook group called Monkey Sauce, whose members were encouraged to view and post their own videos of monkey torture.
What? That's a thing?
That's a thing on Facebook.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. And why it was allowed to continue, I don't know. Stanley, who previously worked for a solicitor's firm, shared 3 of his own videos in the group and left comments such as, "A fave of mine, this one," and on other sickening posts. But unbeknownst to Stanley, the group had been infiltrated by animal welfare activists who passed his Facebook ID over to the police. By the way, this is what a monkey torture guy looks like. He looks like a gorilla.
He legit looks like a gorilla, like an angry gorilla.
Doesn't he?
Yeah.
I'm telling you. During a raid of his home, detectives seized a mobile phone containing 75 videos of monkeys in distress. Stanley was also found to have been searching terms on the internet such as horse porn, and how to tell if a baby monkey is distressed.
Ooh, weird.
He's watching horses get it on. Yeah. Following his arrest on March 26, Stanley told police he joined the group out of curiosity. Right. And that the rules required each member to post 3 videos to prove they would not report the group to authorities. I don't think so.
Can't Facebook monitor that sort of thing? I mean, your account shut down for simple infractions. Like,
I
that
know,
seems
right?
crazy. Come on, Facebook.
I can't even post promos for the show that have authors book. Sometimes they hold up the promo, or they ban the promo because it's got their book link to it.
Oh
And
my gosh.
there's something in the book link that they don't like. They say you're trying to solicit another website, and they ban the entire promo. And I have to
But
check.
if you want to share monkeys in distress, and
Yeah, but that's fine.
that's fine.
Yeah. Following his arrest on March 26, Stanley told police he joined the group out of curiosity and that the rules required each member to post 3 videos to prove they would not report the group to authorities. The videos, which vary between 7 and 15 minutes in length, that's right, they're that long, showed baby
Wow.
monkeys being horrifically tortured by people believed to be in either Thailand or Indonesia. Among the extreme violence inflicted on the monkeys included mutilation and torture with instruments, including pliers, a hatchet, and a machete.
What the
Stanley, right.
I'm so upset by this.
Stanley did not make the videos himself or harm animals directly, but told the moderators of the group he wanted to join because he hated monkeys. Well, we hate you.
Kind of a sick bastard hates monkeys.
That's right.
The greatest thing ever.
Get the picture of this cute monkey. How can you hate this little guy right here? Look at him.
I could never. He's so cute.
Right? He's a cutie. Look at him. I want to bring him home and have him
I
make.
have deep dislike for this man.
I want to bring the little monkey
I
home.
have
have him
strong
make-
feelings about this story, Tim.
I know. I want to bring the monkey home and have him make me shrimp pasta. That's what I.
Yeah.
Yeah. Put him to work. No, I'm just kidding.
Just snuggle with him and watch true crime shows all night.
Yeah. Well, that might that'd be torturous too. I don't think
He'll like it. He'll like it.
You think so?
Yeah, he's into that stuff. You can
Then
tell.
he'll
Look at
learn
his
how to
face.
rip your face off, and that's it. You don't want to teach him that. Oh, probably just sit and watch Coco Melon. Yeah.
Okay, we could watch something a little less disturbing. We could watch home improvement shows, and he can learn how to do things.
Then he'll learn how to work a hammer, and he'll hit you with a hammer all night long.
How?
No, you got nonviolent stuff, Jess.
Okay.
Like Three Stooges. No, wait, that's not.
Cooking shows, so he can cook me more pasta with shrimp.
Yes, cooking
Okay.
shows. Yeah.
Pioneer lady it is. Then.
Pioneer. Yeah. Pioneer. During a hearing at Liverpool Crown Court, Stanley admitted 3 counts of publishing obscene material before he was jailed in the morning. His arrest came after the broadcast of a BBC TV documentary, The Monkey Haters. That's a documentary which uncovered the existence of streaming videos containing the torture of baby monkeys. No. Thomas Quirk, senior Crown prosecutor of Mercy Cheshire Court Prosecution Service, said the videos that Peter Stanley posted on his page on the Facebook site are truly horrific. The torture imposed on these animals included, oh no, I can't read that. It included some bad stuff. Why anyone would possibly want to be involved in that sort of thing is impossible to understand. Peter Stanley was publishing videos of animals being brutally injured, apparently for pleasure. Charles Lander, defending, told the court that 2 references had described the defendant as caring and friendly, who was full of integrity, but now was also full of remorse and regret. I say you hook his testicles up to a battery, like a car battery. See how that works.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair punishment.
Yep. Upon disclosing his arrest, his employment was terminated and his partner of 8 years ended their relationship. He has since been living with his parents, who described their son as a gentle giant. Couldn't believe they were sitting in Crown Court. Well, guess what, parents? Believe it. Sentencing Judge Ian Harris told the defendant These offenses are utterly repellent and have no place in a civilized society. You are a volunteer, not a conscript. The judge told the defendant that an immediate custodial sentence was unavoidable and sentenced him to 20 months imprisonment. Speaking after the hearing, Sarah Kite, co-founder of Action for Primates, said, "We are grateful to Merseyside Police for taking this action against the posting of monkey torture videos on Facebook. Those individuals involved in distributing graphic and obscene content depicting the violent and sadistic torture and killing of baby monkeys need to know that their behavior is not only vile, but also a crime." So there you go. They also say it's a wake up to Meta and other social media companies that continue to allow that highly disturbing activity. So you've got 2 books that are out and available right now. You've got Ghostly Tales of Pennsylvania. You've got Monsters of the Northeast.
Indeed.
We got a link in the description of this program for that. The trip is still up and available.
Yeah, there's just a few spaces left. It's almost full. So we have an event that first weekend in November or second weekend in November. Second weekend in November. Sorry, I have a lot of events in my brain too. I'm having a hard time keeping everything straight. That's the November 11th, I believe, or 13th. It's on my website.
Okay. Yep. So follow that link to the website for the trip. Tomorrow on the big show, Supernatural News. And then we have a special guest on Thursday of this week. We'll just put it this way, Jess. We're going to be talking about your intuition.
Ooh, I love that topic.
Yeah. And how to expand your intuition and how you can do it from home.
I love this. I can't wait for this interview.
Yeah. So, and it's with an old friend of ours. So I'll give you that much of a hint. So that's coming up later on this week. So we got a full week this week. That's it's a good week this week as we head into October. It's hard to believe we're in October already.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So
Going too fast.
yeah, that's for sure. So that'll do it for today. For Jessica Freeburg, I'm Tim Dennis. Thank you so much for joining us today on the big program. We'll see you tomorrow for Supernatural News right here on Darkness Radio.
For more audio and video archives of True Crime Tuesday, please visit darknessradioshow.com. Thank you for watching.